Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's your boy Greg Fresh Williams. Now, listen, I got the key. I got a key in the house, and she also a sig row too, as well. All right, but we not here just to talk about military Greek life and Greek life. Okay, we here to talk about Miss Stevens. Now, hold on. Let me break it down. You served in the United States Marine Corps. 22 years.
That's right.
You
That's
did it
right.
up. And
22.
then and then you were a congressional fellow,
I
and then
was.
you glowed up, and now you are the proud CEO and founder of 2P, Paradigm of Possibilities. Make sure I got it right. Paradigm of Possibilities. And you
That's
are
right.
one of the DEI extraordinaire professionals, DEI diversity inclusion. I'm sorry, diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm
That's
a
right.
DEI professional as well. And listen, Vernita Stevens, give it up for yo. Listen, we're about to get into shit, Greek life, military Greek life, uh, proud business owner. You just glowed up. Woo! This is about to be one of my best shows. Okay,
All
but
right.
listen, Vernita,
Let's go. Let's
let's
go.
let's lay it down now. So, Vernita, where were you born? Where were you raised? And why'd you join the Marine Corps?
Okay. So this is really simple for you. I'm a country girl. I grew up in Virginia riding horses. My dad's an equestrian. So that's what I know, right? Small town family girl. Quick answer to why I joined the Marine Corps. The recruiter came and said, not many women make it. That was a challenge for me. No way you're going to tell me I can't do anything. I'm a country girl, right? I was already raised tough to be able to do things. The moment he said that, I said, I bet you I can.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I mean that's just the challenge was thrown, and you decide to answer the
That was it.
challenge. Okay. I
Mhm.
was waiting for like this. Somebody just was hooking and crooking, and no, you got challenged
No, it
straight
was
up
a
and down.
challenge. It was
Okay.
it was one of those things, for the Marine Corps, during that time, and they told us, you're earning the title. We're not going to promise you a lot of things. We're going to promise you the title of that. So when I talk to people, I tell them I'm still a Marine. I'll always be a Marine. If you think about it, when I went in the Marine Corps, I joined at 18. I went in right at 19, and you think to serve 22 years, I spent more of my years living in the Marine Corps. Think about that. More years than when I was 19, but I did 22.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. So, I mean, during your time in the Marine Corps, you joined the Marine Corps. What was your original MOS?
I was an O1. That is an administrator by trade.
Okay. So what were your first couple of duty stations? I don't want listen, I'll be liking that asking the ladies the ages. You put out whatever era, you put all that out there
Right,
yourself,
right,
okay?
right.
Because you
I
you
might
seem
age myself a little
listen,
bit. I'm gonna
no,
be
don't
careful. I'm
don't
gonna be
age too
careful.
much though. But when you administrative clerk, like what was the atmosphere at that time in the Corps?
Well, my first duty station was actually Okinawa, Japan. So that was totally different. You sending a 19-year-old, I'm overseas, nobody wants to probably say this now, but it was beer in the vending machines, right? I'm not even talking about work. I'm just talking about the fact that, oh, wait a minute, this is totally different, right? But again, the ages of those things was totally different. But being a young Marine, it was very specific, and things were very strict, and things were very structured, right? But as I told you at the beginning, I was up for the challenge. So I would do things like, as a young administrator, you're trying to grow up through the ranks, okay? And you have your NCO, you have your staff NCO. So everybody knows, right? The NCO has to get the things before the staff NCO gets it. So what is little PFC? At the time, my last name was Jones. What is the little PFC in myself? What do? I go find a desk. I'm getting ready to age myself. The old typewriter desk, the ones that flip down on the sides. and you could pull them up. You know the ones I'm talking about? They were real. So I went and got one of those, set that in front of my NCO's desk, and I said, before you give the paperwork to him, you got to give it to me, and I want it on my desk. So that, if that gives you any,
Gosh.
you know,
You didn't even say you took a laptop. You said you took the typewriter. Listen,
the typewriter desk, just the
the
desk,
type,
because I wanted to see the paperwork
yeah.
first.
Oh my gosh. So you rise up through the ranks. You eventually, you move from Okinawa. Where'd you go? A couple more duty stations after Okinawa. Where'd you go?
After Okinawa, I went to Aberdeen Proving Grounds, which is actually an Army base. I was there at the Marine Detachment. We shared that with the Air Force as well as with, of course, the Army. We were all there. We shared a lot of our schools, 2111, refrigeration, 2171s, we were there. That was a great duty station for me, but it was also different because I got to speak to and learn more about the other services. So my MOS, if you kind of remember us, we had a brief conversation. I'm an 01 by trade. Well, the Army called it a 71 Lima. And to my understanding now, they don't even say 71 Limas anymore. And during that time on Aberdeen Proving Grounds, we had ANOC and BNOC, which was the staff NCO training schools that was there. You know, it was great. And I remember it because it was during the time, if you remember, Maryland got that really big blizzard. Like, it was horrible. And I remember being a young NCO on duty, still having to make my way through that snow to stay on duty because it didn't matter. It was a really great duty station. And what I will say, my first couple of duty stations gave me different aspects in general of what the Marine Corps was. It taught me about the training schools. I got to see what overseas looked like first, you know, being my first duty station. Then I got to go on I&I duty as an NCO. And at that time, when I was on I&I duty in Lynchburg, Virginia, I was with 4th CEB, which is a combat engineer unit. I was the only active duty female in that unit. And during that time, like at the time, they had to build and bring in a restroom for me, a space for me to be able to shower after PT, because they wasn't used to having a active duty female there. So it was about 12 of us there, me being the only woman. And we're talking about maybe 96, 90, late 96, 1997. That was a great experience for me. And again, I was still challenging. You know, I was trying to do more pull-ups than everybody. You know, that was just my personality then. But I will say I had a great experience in the Marine Corps.
Now, it didn't stop there. It didn't stop there. Now, hold on.
Oh, no.
Because
No.
you rose through the ranks and you glowed up into doing something that, now, you're a DEI professional. I'm a DEI professional. What got me into this field was, and I still am serving in U.S. Army as an equal opportunity leader. That's one of my additional duties. You actually did equal opportunity in the United States Marine Corps in the early days. And can you speak to what was like the climate of diversity then? How did it impact policies? How did it impact, the troops and everybody that you're around? Like, what was it like in that time, in that space?
So let me just speak a little bit about that. I was an equal opportunity representative, and I also had an opportunity to work as the IG on one of the bases that I was on. And I actually went through DOME, which is an Air Force school, and I'm a certified Department of Defense mediator. And so I'm sharing all those things to say a lot of times we didn't use the word diversity much, right? That was something that was known. So in equal opportunity, the thing was equal opportunity for all. That means making sure that opportunities was there for individuals regardless of whom they were, and so that meant in making sure promotions were done correctly and people weren't being mistreated. That is looking into things like reprisal. That's speaking about the fear of why possibly an individual doesn't want to speak out, but they know there's something wrong. Those are all of those things. Yes, it may have come from a bias or unconscious bias or microaggression or stereotype, but those things don't come out until we start having those conversations. And so during that time, that's what we found. People would more so speak to, just this is not fair, this is not right. And it took those conversations to find out, what do you mean when you say that? Now, you may find out later, of course, that it is because of um, a space of being not inclusive, right? Or something is not being equitable. But what I found then, we didn't use the terms as much. And let me just say this, sometimes that word diversity and may not always be necessarily even in the service, but just as you know, as a DEI practitioner, there are times that people use that word diversity when we're really talking about racial equity. And I make sure when I talk about those things that we ensure that we divide the two, because diversity is everything that is different, and that equity specifically dealing with that race, that's totally a different conversation. And we have to go down a different road with that, as you know, in your experience.
Yeah, most definitely. Because, when you think about how the military continues to evolve, and you think about how now the way that you used to even talk to the young folk to try to get them to join is vastly different. Like right now, the U.S. Army campaign, we got Jonathan Majors, we got Kang, we got, we got superheroes, and that's what's speaking to the young folk. But back then, it was just more or less a sense of, okay, this is going to be where you belong as long as you follow doctrine, policies, and procedures. And then, of course, when you get to your units, it's just like being at any other job. You want to make sure, you're in an inclusive environment, and you're making sure that, yes, everybody looks at everybody with an intersectional lens, because that's how you get together anyway. Where are you from? Where are you from? So you try to find those common bonds, but then still build up that camaraderie, that brotherhood, that sisterhood. That's what's supposed to happen. Sometimes, often, at times, we know, varying other degrees. So, I mean, what was your most, and then we'll transition. What was your most rewarding experience, working in the EO field and IG field?
Most rewarding experience. I would say the most rewarding experience is when I was able to have or identify what I would call a significant emotional event. And that's when you have that aha moment. A lot of times when you have billets or you do jobs, billets was what we would call additional things in, and you were assigned to do something or a process, and you're put in something as such as a equal opportunity representative. There is a significant emotional event that stands out to you that helps you truly understand what's going on and seeing someone's point of view. And for me, it was learning how to sit in that space of discomfort, right? And I know it's not something that's exciting. You're like, oh, did this happen? Did this person? No, it was me being able to sit in the discomfort and understanding someone else's point of view. And sometimes realizing that even in listening, that we as people might listen and hear something wrong and incorrectly as well. And so for me, it was just having that moment, that aha moment to say, oh, wait a minute, even you need to sit back in this space. Even you need to pay attention to those different things. And so you spoke about the training, and I want to hit on that because I actually was a drill instructor. Right. And so when you talk about that whole team and you talk about being an equal opportunity representative, and myself being an EOR, but as well as being a drill instructor, and getting those individuals to work as a team and to see each other just as a team and nothing else, it was bringing in lifestyles and individuals from different walks of life and getting them to see, regardless of where you are from, you are all here for one common goal. And we're not just talking about race or ethnicity or gender identity or gender, any of those things. We're talking about social economic status, right? Life life, live experiences, all of those things inclusive. You have to be able to work together no matter what. I want to hear one sound when you march. I want to see one person when you move. This is what I expect. And so whatever we have to do to get you to see it together, that's what it is that we want. And so it taught them to work as a team and see past their differences. Again, as you know, everyone may not always get along, but to see, for me, that was to see individuals get past those things and do it with a type of joy, and then maybe to come back and tell you, I appreciate that, right? That was impact, because that one.
Yeah. So now, you leave the Corps and you transition into congressional legislative fellow. And this is, I wanted to know what possessed you to do that. What possessed you to like get into the whole, politics? Like
Well,
what?
let me tell you, I didn't leave the Corps to get that.
No, you were still, so you did
No,
that while you still in.
I did it while I was
Explain it for me. Explain it for
I
me.
will. And let me tell you, all services have it. So it's a congressional military fellow is what it is. And so it's one of those selection processes now. It's only about 12 or 13 individuals from your service get selected a year. It used to only be open to officers, and they opened it up to the enlisted ranks around 2009, I believe. And it's a process where you have to go through everything. You have to be chosen. You have to write. You have to have letters, all of those things. And you get an opportunity to work on Capitol Hill. You either work for Congress or you work for Senate. You don't really get to pick. They just look at your bio, your experience, your background, and then they choose and they say, this is what member you're going to work for a year. Is their military legislative fellow. I will tell you, that was one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was one of the greatest opportunities. And being in the Marine Corps allowed me that opportunity to be there. I worked for Congressman Sanford Bishop out of Georgia's 2nd District. Go Team Bishop. I am still I am still part of that team. The best thing I liked about it is that I wasn't just treated like a fellow or someone that was in there as a temporary. I was treated as part of the staff. And because of that, I was taught so many things. I got to go through so many processes. I learned how to, write legislation. I was able to go on the floor and see how things really work. I was speaking to the lobbyists. I was taking those meetings. I was doing the team building activities, doing those events with them, all of those things. And after that, you have a follow-on. So after you do that, you have an actual follow-on tour. And my follow-on tour was with the Secretary of Defense Office of Legislative Affairs. So I went from working for Congress to working to Secretary of Defense Office of Legislative Affairs. And again, such a great experience. Such a great experience. I learned so much dealing with congressional inquiries, complaints from both sides, being able to help the constituents and what their concerns were, and helping get back. I mean, it's just so many wonderful things. And you know what? It changed my point of view on how I looked at things, because I learned a lot from sitting in there. Now, of course, it does require a top secret clearance, so you just can't get in there. But you have to go through all those things to be able to work there as a member. But I'm telling you, I truly enjoyed it. I really did.
Wow, that sounds phenomenal. So let's get to the crux of it all now. And now you got your own business. You're a founder and you're running 2P LLC. So let's talk about it. Why'd you start it? What is it about? Paradigms, possibilities.
Right. And it says that paradigm possibilities, right? Like what awaits you, anything is possible, right? Get ready for that paradigm, get ready for that shift. So when I was in the Marine Corps, I used to go through a lot of classes. And as I told you, I want to roll back really quick and say I had a mentor that told me very young in my career that said, instead of complaining about things, become part of the solution. And that's why I took so many different billets and did so many different things in my career, because those are the things that she told me. Now, once I finished and I made the decision to go ahead and retire, I actually took a little break for a while. But a colleague of mine who got out a little bit before me, I was encouraging him to actually start a business because we used to co-facilitate sometimes. One of the other things I didn't share that I was in the Marine Corps, other than a drill instructor, I was also a formal school instructor. So I taught the advanced course. I taught the Gunny's course in the Marine Corps for a couple of years as well. So I am a formal school trained in formal school instruction through the Marine Corps. And so we would teach, and we worked IG together, and he was actually an equal opportunity advisor. And so during my time as an IG, we worked hand in hand. Now, again, remember, this has been 15 so years ago, right? We were working and we were doing these things. We were working DEI issues, if you think about it. Again, we didn't call it DEI, we called it EO or EOR issues, EOA issues, but we were working with things that weren't equitable, weren't inclusive, or that fell within that EEO scope, right? And this specific person was getting out, wanted to start their own business. We did some trainings together. I was like, oh, you can absolutely teach this. You can absolutely do this. Is wonderful. Get your job. So I started talking to him later on, and he asked me one day, he was like, what are you doing? And I said, oh, I'm working a GS job, right? And I was working a GS job. And he was like, why? People need to hear you. You should be training. You told me about training. And it was one of those things where a good friend had to kind of pluck me real quick and say, what are you doing? Why are you not working in your skill set? Again, I was always, no matter what job I was in, I was always in some type of collateral duty way, working with inequities, working with morale within the organizations, right? In some way, I was consistently doing that. And so I said, you know what, you're right. He had a company. He asked me would I come on as a subcontractor and start working. And he actually talked me step by step into, listen, how to start your business. And that's really what it was. It was a friend that knew who I was at a point when I wasn't really thinking like, is this really what I should be doing, right? Is this the space for me? But I knew that I was already doing it, but I didn't, I didn't know, you know? And I started doing it. I started doing the trainings, and my company started to grow, and more people would hear me and started getting by name requests for me to come in. And as I built my company, people would ask me, well, what is the paradigm? I said, because a lot of things happen in a shift, right? In that paradigm shift. But when we think about the shift, we know that there's endless possibilities. And so I put those together and say, hey, there's a paradigm of possibilities that await you. Because if you're willing to sit in the discomfort, if you are willing to be okay that there's going to be a shift in your growth, there's discomfort in growth, then the possibilities for you to change, grow, improve things are absolutely endless. And so that's what I try to do when I go into different organizations, right? I speak the truth. I let people know one thing for sure. I'm firm, fair, and consistent in what I do. I'm going to speak the truth in those things. But Paradigm of Possibilities was born through that process, through me using my voice to be a difference and make a difference in other organizations and those who need to have those difficult conversations around inequities and things not being inclusive in the workspace, as well as bystander intervention. That is truly my baby. I look at things from that lens because 85% of the time someone hears and or sees something being done incorrectly, but they do not know what to do about it. And so inequities continue to happen. People not being included continues to happen because there are times when people don't know how to act or what to say and how to respond in those.
Mm, 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 mm. Now, we're going to come to the portion where you do get to promote the company. We're going to do that right now. But before we do that, I got one more.
All right, what you got?
Okay, we
I'm
got one
ready.
more. Now listen, you sick bro, so get yeah,
Yeah,
give him a
what?
shout out. And you a key now. I'm a king,
I'm a
you a
kid.
key,
Come on, I
Kappa
got my
Epsilon
purple
Psi,
back in
military
too.
support. So, I mean, what does it mean for you to, because being a part of a fraternity, a sorority is all about a life of service. And you have served so many throughout your whole entire career through training and mentorship. And let's just harp on that. What are some of the benefits that you know, just as a person you've received out of growing, being a part of those two organizations?
It's really, again, about being around people and sometimes being around like-minded people. Being part of Key, which is my military sorority, it was having individuals whom have served, right? And so that's a different space for me because people who have not served, you know, and it didn't matter if it was 2 months, 2 years, or whatever it was. You went through the boot camp, you served, you did that time. You understand we have something in common. You know what it's like to serve your country and make that decision to do so. So that gave me the opportunity to meet some amazing ladies, and be part of that organization. And we do service, right? You think about that. It's just not about being a part of a sorority. It's about the service that you provide to your community. What can we do to help someone else? And as far as my SG Row community, that community for me, it was founded on 7 educators. What do? I teach and I train. Those things are important to me. So when I become a part of organizations, I come a part of them because they speak to me and who I am. And that way I can be a better reflection of them. We are all about about service, civil service, how we can help and assist and be of service to someone else. Greater service, greater progress. How can we do those things? And so for me, being part of those sororities is also another opportunity to serve my community.
Yeah, that's it right there. That, they call me Hush, but I'm more than the 3 letters. I just don't put on the cool line jacket. You got to go out there, and it's about service. And even for me joining Mu Beta Phi, it's about mighty warriors. They're mentoring youth. It was about the Herculean Effort program. Veteran homelessness is prevalent around the nation. And out here in New York City, we're doing our thing, but we can always do better. So organization has to speak to you. The mission has to speak to you. And you just go out there and you serve. And, even this platform where we're giving out information, we're giving out tips. And let's leave the people with one tip, and then you plug your organization. One tip: how can organizations continue to build inclusive environments? Just one tip. Give them a little nugget, Vernita.
One tip, have an open mind. The one tip is to have an open mind and build on that with your communication skills. If we stop and listen to each other with that open mindset and we effectively communicate, organizations will learn so much more. The growth comes when we close our minds and we don't listen. You don't know if things are not equitable if you're not listening. You don't know if a person does not feel included if you're not listening. If we're willing to sit in that discomfort and have that open mind, we will then see that things will change because communication is now taking place and it's a two-way street.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That was that. Listen, if you want more, now, Vanita, now I'm gonna put you on the big screen and then I put the website over there. So let's do that thing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right. So if you want some services, if you need someone to come into your organization and help you look at things for change, I am definitely an agent for change. I tell people just because I retired, it doesn't mean I stopped serving my country. I figured out another way to serve my country, and that's by helping organizations see things that are not equitable and that are not inclusive. We are all bystanders at some point. My goal is for us to realize that we're all bystanders and become upstanders by making sure that our workspaces and work environments are also equitable, inclusive, so that individuals, all and each individual has access and they feel like they belong. If you need to reach me, www.2p.llc.com.
See that's okay. And it came on the
Listen,
screen.
I
Wham
gotta
bang.
listen, but I gotta
Wham
let you
bang.
know my motto. I gotta let you know my motto.
What is the motto?
The motto is cleaning your lens changes your view. Everybody gets a dirty lens sometimes. You wear sunglasses, any type of glass, you know, just out of the blue, it gets a little dirty, does it not? But
Yeah,
guess
it
what?
does.
That's where that open mindset comes. You got to take those suckers off. You're going to have to clean them up a little bit and look how much better you see things. So when you clean your lens, you absolutely change your view. And that's what we believe. We just want you to clean your lens.
Hmm. Ooh. All right. Ooh, clean your lens. Wipe, wipe. So everybody knows www.mbphikings2017.org. That is www.mbp5kings2017.org. It's right here. If you want to catch up on what Mubatify is doing, if you want to watch some more episodes of the PHIner Life Show, because I mean, it's the five, baby. It's the five. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Thank you for sharing portions of military history, for just, just giving us insight into what what DEI has evolved from and is still continuing to evolve, you know, and for being an agent of change. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. Thank you for your service, and we appreciate you. And definitely, you and I, we're going to be in contact. We're going to do some big things because Hush does the big things. All
All
right.
right. Thank you for having me. I appreciate that.
All right, everybody. Till the next show. Peace.